Hello and welcome to In-Depth program. Today's topic of discussion is G7 Summit, Leaders of Powerful Democracies Gather in Hiroshima. Points of discussion will be G7 Summit Overview, what is G7 Group, what is G7 Summit, expansion of participation and key issues, Hiroshima as the venue, key issues on the agenda, other noteworthy events, India and G7 and practice questions. So first of all, let's discuss about G7 Summit Overview. The Group of Seven or G7 Summit is set to take place in Hiroshima, the site of the world's first atomic bomb attack at the end of World War II. This annual gathering brings together the leaders of seven influential industrialized nations: Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom, and the United States. Japan is hosting this year's summit, but the presidency of the G7 rotates among its members. Additionally, two representatives from the European Union participate. The summit serves as a platform for discussions on various issues including economic policy, security, climate change, energy, and gender. What is G7 Group? The International Group of Seven or G7 is an intergovernmental political forum consisting of Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom, and the United States. Additionally, the European Union is a non-enumerated member. What is G7 Summit? At the G7 Summit, the leaders of the G7, which share fundamental values such as freedom, democracy, and human rights, exchange candid views on important challenges the international community is facing at that time, such as the global economy, regional affairs, and various global issues. The first summit was in 1975 when France hosted what was then a Group of Six meeting to discuss tackling a recession that followed an Arab oil embargo. Canada became the seventh member a year later. Russia joined to form the G8 in 1998 but was expelled after Moscow's 2014 annexation of Crimea. Expansion of participation and key issues. In recent years, the G7 has extended invitations to leaders from non-member countries and international organizations for certain sessions. This year, leaders from Australia, Brazil, Comoros, Cook Islands, India, Indonesia, South Korea, and Vietnam have been invited. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida emphasizes the importance of engaging with developing countries in the global south and strengthening ties with US allies and partners. The rise of developing economies like China, India, and Brazil raises questions about the G7's relevance and its role in a global economy increasingly reliant on the growth of less wealthy nations. Furthermore, leaders from the United Nations, the International Energy Agency, the International Monetary Fund, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the World Health Organization, and the World Trade Organization have also been invited. Hiroshima is the venue. The choice of Hiroshima as the summit's venue holds significance as it is Prime Minister Kishida's hometown. By selecting this location, Kishida aims to prioritize nuclear disarmament, non-proliferation in this year's summit. However, the path to nuclear disarmament has become more challenging due to recent nuclear threats from Russia in Ukraine, as well as nuclear and missile development by China and North Korea. Japan, which relies on the US nuclear umbrella for protection, has faced criticism regarding the sincerity of its nuclear disarmament pledge. Kishida seeks to navigate a realistic path between the current reality and the ideal of a world free of nuclear weapons. As part of this effort, Kishida plans to welcome arriving leaders at the Hiroshima Peace Park, visit the A-bomb museum with them, the first visit by heads of nuclear states, and possibly meet with atomic bomb survivors. He believes that first-hand exposure to the consequences of the atomic bombing will be a crucial first step towards nuclear disarmament. Key issues on the agenda include the G7 leaders are expected to strongly condemn Russia's military actions in Ukraine while reaffirming their support for the country. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will participate in the session remotely. The summit will also focus on the escalating threats from Beijing towards Taiwan, a self-governing democratic island that China claims as its own. Additionally, the G7 will explore ways to reduce Western democracies' economic and supply chain dependency on China. To address the rise of nations in the global south, including former colonies with diverse perspectives on and connections with Russia and China, the G7 will offer increased support in health, food security, and infrastructure to foster closer ties. Other noteworthy events are: one notable event on the sidelines of the summit will be a meeting between Prime Minister Kishida, President Joe Biden of the United States, and President Yoon Suk Yeol of South Korea. They will discuss enhancing security cooperation, potentially including stronger nuclear deterrence measures, as a gesture to build trust and mend strained relations resulting from Japan's colonial rule of the Korean Peninsula from 1910 to 1945, Kishida and Yoon. India and G7. This year's G7 summit is significant as Prime Minister Narendra Modi is attending the summit. This is the first visit to the Japanese city by an Indian Prime Minister since India conducted nuclear tests in Pokhran in 1974. The last Indian PM to visit Hiroshima, which suffered the atomic bomb attack in 1945, was Jawaharlal Nehru in 1957. Modi's presence at Hiroshima is significant since India is one of the few countries which has not signed Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Now it's time for the practice questions. First of all, prelims based question: which of the following countries are members of both G7 and G20? 1 France, 2 Canada, 3 Australia. Select the correct answer from the codes given below. 1 only, 2 and 3 only, 2 only, or 1 and 3 only. And now mains question: has the presence of G7 globally declined significantly? Comment. So that's all for today. Stay tuned for the next episode. Thanks for watching.